Imagine waking up one morning and finding out that the student loan debt that has been weighing you down for years could actually disappear. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the thing. For millions of Americans, this dream might actually come true through something called student loan forgiveness. The question is, who really qualifies? How does it work? And what steps do you need to take so you don't miss out? That's exactly what this video is all about. Stay with me, because by the end you'll know exactly how student loan forgiveness works and whether you can finally break free from your debt. Number 1. What is student loan forgiveness really? Let's start simple. Student loan forgiveness means that you are no longer required to repay some or all of your student loan debt. Think of it like getting a permission slip that says, you don't owe this anymore. But here's the catch. It's not for everyone, and it's not automatic. You usually need to qualify under specific programs and follow certain rules. For example, if you're a teacher who has worked in a low-income school for 5 years, you may be eligible to have up to $17,500 forgiven. That's not just a nice discount. That could literally change the way you live your financial life. Number 2. Federal versus private loans. Here's where most beginners get confused. Student loan forgiveness only applies to federal student loans, not private loans from banks or credit unions. If you borrowed money from Sallie Mae or Wells Fargo, forgiveness probably isn't an option. But if you have loans like direct loans, Stafford loans, or plus loans through the federal government, you're in the right place. This is crucial because too many people waste time chasing forgiveness options for loans that don't qualify. Number 3. Public Service Loan Forgiveness, PSLF. This is the most famous program, and for good reason. If you work full-time for the government or for a nonprofit organization, you could qualify. The rule is that you must make 120 qualifying monthly payments under an income-driven repayment plan while working in that role. Think about it. That's 10 years of payments. After that, whatever you still owe is forgiven. And get this, it's tax-free forgiveness. For example, if you're a nurse working at a nonprofit hospital and after 10 years you still owe $80,000, the government wipes it away. Just gone. That's life-changing. Number 4. Teacher loan forgiveness. Teachers have their own special program. If you teach for 5 complete and consecutive years in a low-income elementary or secondary school, you may qualify for forgiveness of up to $17,500 on your direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans, or your subsidized and unsubsidized Stafford loans. Imagine a teacher named Sarah. She works at a public school in a rural area. After 5 years, she applies and qualifies for $17,500 of forgiveness. That's like giving her an extra half-year salary without the extra work. Number 5. Income-driven repayment, IDR, forgiveness. Here's where it gets really interesting. Even if you don't work in public service or as a teacher, you can still qualify through income-driven repayment plans. These plans calculate your monthly payment based on your income and family size. If you stick to one of these plans for 20 to 25 years, whatever balance is left gets forgiven. That's right. After 2 decades of paying what you can afford, you don't owe another dime. Picture someone who borrowed $60,000. They've been paying small amounts each month for 20 years. At the end, they still owe $25,000. With IDR forgiveness, that $25,000 vanishes. Number 6. Temporary programs and waivers. Here's a secret most people don't know. Sometimes the government offers temporary waivers or one-time opportunities to qualify even if you didn't meet the rules before. For example, the limited PSLF waiver in 2022 allowed borrowers to count payments that normally wouldn't qualify. People who thought they'd never reach 120 payments suddenly became eligible. This is why staying informed is critical. One email from your loan servicer could literally save you tens of thousands of dollars. Number 7. Who does not qualify? It's just as important to know who does not qualify. If you have private loans, you're out. If you're in default and haven't taken steps to get back into good standing, forgiveness won't happen. And if you're hoping for total forgiveness after only a couple of years of payments, sorry, that's not how it works. But don't get discouraged. Even if you don't qualify for federal forgiveness, there are state-based programs and employer student loan repayment benefits that can still help. Number 8. The application process. Here's the big question. How do you actually get forgiveness? It usually involves filling out an application through your loan servicer. For PSLF, you submit the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Form, certifying your employment. For teacher loan forgiveness, you fill out a separate form after your 5 years of service. The key is documentation. Keep records of your payments, your employment certifications, and your communications with the loan servicer. Think of it like building a file that proves you followed all the rules. Number 9. Common mistakes to avoid. So many people lose forgiveness opportunities because of small mistakes. One big mistake is being on the wrong repayment plan. For PSLF, you must be on an income-driven plan, not a standard 10-year plan. Another mistake is failing to submit employment certifications regularly. For example, imagine John, who worked for a nonprofit for 10 years but never submitted his employment certification forms. When he applied for forgiveness, his request was denied because the government couldn't verify his service. Don't let that happen to you. Number 10. Taxes and student loan forgiveness. Here's something that surprises many borrowers. Some types of forgiveness are considered taxable income by the IRS. For example, under income-driven repayment forgiveness, the balance forgiven after 20 or 25 years may be taxed as income. So if $30,000 is forgiven, the IRS may treat that as if you earned $30,000 in extra income that year. But remember, PSLF forgiveness is tax-free. That's a huge difference. Always plan ahead. Talk to a tax professional before forgiveness hits so you're not blindsided with a giant tax bill. Number 11. What about bankruptcy? People often wonder if filing for bankruptcy can erase student loans. The short answer is rarely. It's extremely difficult, but not impossible. You have to prove undue hardship, which is a very high legal standard. Most people don't succeed with this route. That's why forgiveness programs are usually a much better path. Number 12. State and profession-based forgiveness programs. Beyond federal programs, many states offer their own forgiveness incentives, especially for doctors, nurses, and lawyers who agree to work in underserved areas. For instance, a doctor in a rural community might get $50,000 of loans forgiven for serving in that area for a certain number of years. If you're in a specialized profession, it's worth checking what your state offers. Number 13. What about forgiveness scams? This part is critical. There are many scams out there. You may get a phone call saying, "We can erase your loans today for a fee." Do not fall for it. Real forgiveness programs never charge upfront fees. They only require paperwork and patience. If someone asks you to pay $1,000 to unlock forgiveness, hang up. Protect yourself. Number 14. The emotional side of forgiveness. Student loans aren't just about numbers. They affect people's lives, marriages, and even mental health. Imagine the relief of knowing you no longer owe $50,000. You can finally buy a home, start a family, or even just sleep better at night. For many, forgiveness isn't just financial freedom. It's emotional freedom. Number 15. The future of forgiveness. This topic is constantly evolving. Politicians debate it, new programs are announced, and rules sometimes change. That means what's true today might be different tomorrow. For example, some proposals suggest shortening the forgiveness timeline for income-driven plans, or expanding PSLF to include more types of work. The only constant is change. That's why staying informed is your greatest weapon. Number 16. Military service forgiveness. If you have served in the military, there are programs designed to reduce or forgive your student loans as part of your benefits. For example, the Army and Navy each have student loan repayment assistance programs that can cover tens of thousands of dollars in federal loans for those who qualify. This is not only financial relief, but also a way the government recognizes your service. Number 17. Perkins loan cancellation. Although new Perkins loans are no longer being issued, if you still have them, you may qualify for cancellation through certain types of employment. Professions such as teachers in low-income schools, firefighters, librarians, and even some law enforcement officers can qualify for partial or total cancellation. This is a lesser-known forgiveness path that many borrowers overlook. Number 18. Disability discharge. If you become totally and permanently disabled, You may qualify to have your federal student loans discharged. This requires medical documentation or proof from the Social Security Administration. Imagine someone who has become unable to work due to a serious health condition. Instead of being burdened by loan payments they cannot afford, they can have that debt completely erased. Number 19. Borrower defense to repayment. This is one of the most unique forms of forgiveness. If your school misled you, engaged in misconduct, or closed while you were attending, you might be eligible to have your loans forgiven under borrower defense. For example, many students from for-profit colleges that promised jobs but never delivered have had their loans discharged. It's a way to protect students from fraud and give them a fresh start. Number 20. Closed school discharge. If your college shuts down while you're enrolled or soon after you leave, you might qualify for forgiveness of the loans you took out to attend that school. This has happened with many for-profit colleges that went out of business. The government doesn't expect you to pay for an education you couldn't finish because the school disappeared. Number 21. Employer student loan repayment. Programs. Some employers are now stepping up to help their workers pay down student debt. While this isn't technically forgiveness, it can act like it by chipping away at your balance faster. For instance, some hospitals offer nurses up to $10,000 a year in student loan repayment benefits. If your employer offers this, it can feel just like forgiveness since you're not the one making those payments. Number 22. Tribal and community-based forgiveness. Certain Native American tribal organizations and community-based programs offer forgiveness or repayment assistance for borrowers who work in specific roles within their communities. This often applies to doctors, teachers, and lawyers who provide vital services in tribal regions. It's another example of how forgiveness can be tied to giving back to underserved areas. Number 23. Forgiveness for health professionals. If you are a doctor, nurse, dentist, or mental health professional, you may qualify for forgiveness through programs like the National Health Service Core Loan Repayment Program. These often require you to work in a shortage area for a set number of years in exchange for significant loan forgiveness. For example, a nurse practitioner might receive $50,000 of forgiveness for 2 years of service in a rural clinic. Now imagine this. You're at a family gathering, and someone complains about being buried in student debt. You smile because you already took action, you know the rules, and you're on your way to having your loans forgiven. That's the power of knowledge. So, now that you know the truth about student loan forgiveness, what would being debt-free allow you to finally do with your life?